Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Maria Springer from LivelyHoods in Kenya.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Springer, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of LivelyHoods. Before I start, I just wanted to thank my two mentors, Pamela and Guillermo, for challenging me over these last couple weeks in ways I didn't really think were possible and staying up until about 2 a.m. with me. Thank you. This is Alex. He's one of 450,000 unemployed urban slum youth. I met Alex in 2009 when he was on the streets, and I was astounded by his charisma and his intelligence. At LivelyHoods, we've challenged Alex to figure out how he might distribute a solar lamp or a clean-burning cook stove to residents in his community. Right now, I'd like to introduce you to Alex.
Hello Silicon Valley, my name is Alex Govinda and I'm speaking to you from Kawangware, Nairobi, Kenya. 2 years ago, I could never imagine that a room full of people in the US could be listening to me talk. I used to be a street boy and I became an orphan when I was 4 years old, and the rest of my life I spent in street youth rehabilitation centers and orphanages, but nothing was working for me at all. I turned back to the streets. Through how I sell products to the community, a lot of people in the community, they can't imagine that I was a street boy, that I used to live in the street. Yeah, they see a big change and how livelihood has really changed my life. I'm happy because I'm trying to imagine like 5 years to come or 3 years to come, how it will have grown big, maybe like, because our aim and visions and goals, yeah, is to reach many street youth, yeah, in different countries. Okay, thank you for listening, and maybe next year I'll be there with you. Cheers.
Our mission is to create livelihoods for youth like Alex. And we do this by tapping the power of their potential, this potential that's often overlooked and underappreciated. Unemployed urban slum youth represent about 1/3 of the urban slum population. And this, for the government, means millions of dollars in lost potential, and also gives rise to insecurity and violence. In fact, USAID estimates that approximately 80% of the perpetrators of post-election violence were unemployed or idle street youth. Although marginalized, these youth also are part of a larger community, the urban slum community, who lacks access to critical products and services. So we got to thinking, what if these two groups could coexist in a way that was productive? And at LivelyHoods, we've done that. We've identified a new market opportunity at the intersection of viewing slum youth as sales agents and residents as consumers. Now, these youth are distributing products that are life-changing to a community that once marginalized them. So why is this going to work? Well, we think that this is a really exciting time because a lot of people are designing incredible products for these consumers, and we're making them available. Through our co-created distribution channel, we're making them accessible. And finally, through creative financing, we're making them affordable. But of course, there's obstacles. One is product adoption, which we've talked a lot about today. You can't sell a product that disrupts purchasing patterns of consumers that have been in place for generations without some consumer awareness and education. Finally, we're working in a market that's very volatile. And our youth understand this. But also, we really have to be aware that this population has been independent for so much of their life. So there has to be really a balance between giving them independence and mentoring them along the way. So this is how it works. And what we've done here is we've created a retail store with a complementary sales force, which really drives a user-centric model. Our sales agents are key to our success, as they can identify market opportunities, they are in touch with the population that we're serving, and they're the ones who market test our products and give us feedback on what we should buy and how much of it, and what we shouldn't sell, by the way. And last month, we opened our first retail store, which is fabulous because it actually simulates a real employment experience for these youth. But also, it creates visibility and trust in the market where we work, so that if a product doesn't work, they know where to find us. So how do our youth make money? Well, we work on a micro-consignment model, and every day at 8 a.m. sharp, no excuses, our youth show up to our store, and they select the products they want to sell on credit, on consignment, on credit. Oops. They go into the community, they work all day, and at the end of the day, they come back, and they either bring us the inventory or the cash for the product sold. And at the end of the month, we pay them about a 20% commission on the total sales. iSmart retains about a 20% profit margin as well. Finally, our expenses are really driven by our training and recruitment, which is critical to the success of our model. And the recruitment piece is something that I really love because it goes back into this idea that we're not recruiting for skills, but we're recruiting for potential. So one of the ways that we recruit our youth is through word of mouth marketing and working with local partners. But when they actually come into the recruitment day, we sit them around a table and we give them all a sheet of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, a white sheet. And we say, look, successful salespeople can sell anything. So you guys have 1 hour to sell this in the community and we'll see you. So if a youth comes back and they're complaining that it was difficult, that they couldn't find anyone to buy it, that how could we even suggest this, then they're probably not going to do well with us. But if a youth goes out and finds someone who's selling nuts on the side of the road and tells them that they could use that paper to market their products and roll up the nuts in a nice, fresh-looking way and can bring back 50 cents in 1 hour, they're going to succeed with us. Also, our training model is really based on this idea that you should couple experiential learning with in the classroom learning. So our training is really 2 days intensive and 8 days of half days where they're in the classroom and half days where they're in the field shadowing our senior sales agents. And then when they finally become sales agents, we give them a uniform, a backpack, and a sales agent startup kit. Additionally, we give them 3 months of base salary, around $45, as they establish themselves in the market, as they build relationships, as they get used to selling. And then after that, it's a pure commissions-based model. Finally, to operate, we need to procure products and cover our overhead. So our product portfolio is really a consumer-centric product strategy in the sense that we partner with these youth to identify needs in the community, find products that meet them, have our youth go out and do market research with 400 or 500 potential customers. And these are the products that we're selling today. We have about 9 products total in our line and are working with 5 companies and have been able to accomplish that in less than 6 months. Right now, our lower priced products sell at a higher volume, but our higher priced products represent around 96% of our revenue. When Alex first started selling with us in March, he only sold 4 solar lamps in the first month. And this month alone, he sold 68 clean burning cook stoves, generating around $1,700 in revenue. So right now we're focused on these socially impactful products, but really, because we're a consumer-centric model, we want to be flexible to the needs of our community. So what's our competitive advantage? Well, this is not about aid. This is about employing youth who have potential. This is about giving them access to this opportunity through our consignment model. And what's inspiring is that when they come in and they realize that we actually value them, they get inspired and motivated and invigorated, and they blend this empathy they have for the end consumer with our flexible sales channel, and they create a brilliant way to commercialize products at the last mile. So this is our strategy for scale. What we'd like to do is aggregate our retail stores into a retail chain, and then have a centralized hub for procurement and operations to drive down operational costs. But of course, without disturbing this complementary sales force that's so critical to our success. So this is how we predict growth over the next 5 years, which would allow us to scale to around 18 stores, employing approximately 540 sales agents. And we modeled this based on stores that are working at full capacity with around 30 sales agents, and we modeled our revenues based on our current sales, with 5% growth in each store. We've also looked at the fact that from years 1 to 5, we'll probably be able to get better margins since we'll have higher purchasing power and buy in bulk. We also looked at how in year 2 we could probably reduce the commissions of our youth who are earning quite a large amount to a more reasonable price or a more reasonable amount. In fact, I just wanted to add that in March when we started, we were actually giving our youth 100% of the profit margin. And we did that because we had 2 products and we had just started. There was no brand around around what we were doing. And it was actually in partnership with them that we decided to reduce it, because they understood that if we're going to reach a lot of youth, that we have to be profitable. So you'll also see that in years 3, 4, and 5, we've accounted for a $250,000 credit line, which we can use to cover the inventory that we need, which requires a lot of front-loaded capital. So of course, there's challenges. One is that we have to secure adequate donor funding, and we have to make sure that we're getting the right products to the market and make sure that they're quality products. And staff capacity and management, a lot of people talk about that, but for us it's key. Because I imagine some of these sales agents one day becoming the regional director and going to global conferences like these and talking about how we're going to scale. We also have to make sure that our sales agents sell at high volumes, because after that 3rd month, if they're not selling, then it's kind of beside the point, right? And finally, competition. So our whole model is about bringing new products to urban slums and developing a market around them. So it would be silly to assume that soon local kiosks and brick and mortar shops wouldn't start to sell them. But we want to stay flexible, we want to continue to bring innovative products to market, and we've already identified ways that we can use this distribution channel and this resource of untapped urban slum youth to create additional revenue streams. For instance, a lot of companies have approached us and asked us how much it would cost to rent our sales agents so that they could use them for branding, or how much it would cost to do market research. There's a lot of potential here. And this is the committed team that's making it happen. All 3 of my teammates started as volunteers and advisors. Oscar brings a deep connection with the community in which we work. In fact, he's from the community in which we work. Fenora manages all of our day-to-day operations, inventory, data. Tanya brings a lot of knowledge in business development and finance, and has worked in emerging markets. And I bring experience in building teams around a cause and securing resources to make these things happen. So our metrics are pretty easy to understand, right? I mean, it's really easy to quantify whether we're having an impact. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was the 1% monthly increase in sales performance. I mean, sorry, not the 1%, the percent monthly increase in sales performance. We started out by saying, okay, we developed this incredible monitoring and evaluation model, and I moved to Kenya in January, and then I started looking at our baseline data, and then I started looking at the follow-up data, and I realized that it didn't make any sense because our data was very skewed, because youth, who actually used to be criminals, have taken a significant pay cut, right? So what we're doing is we're giving these youth stability. We're giving them a job with dignity, and they're willing to sacrifice that, their pay for that. To date, we've trained 12 youth, employed 12 youth, and 5 have graduated. Most notably, 1 has gone on to become a high school teacher in the rural area where she's from. We've also secured support and awards for what we're doing. But I want to come back to the point that We started LivelyHoods because we realized that urban slum youth have a lot of potential that's underappreciated. And with each product sold and each sales agent recruited, we're seeing this mindset change. I want to invite all of you to get involved in what we're doing. We're looking to build a board of directors, and we're also looking for $250,000 in grants so that we can have 3 retail stores and create 100 livelihoods. Thank you.